Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I want to explain of front end, back end, and API. Catalog, front end, back end, and API. Part 1. Front end. Definition of front end is a website. Front end is the section that faces the publish. It's made up of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML allow URL to display the front end properly. In the end, the task of the front end is to focus on the composition contained in the website or application that must be able to ensure that all the content on the website or application does not interface with the comfort or the user. Next, how the front end works. Basically, the way the front end works is to make sure that a website or application can be seen properly by user. They have a responsibility to that every user can get information to interact with a website or application comfortably. Require ability. The skill or expertise needed to become a front end are the basic skill of the programming language, namely HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Their capabilities are very important because the front form the basis for creating a website or application. HTML as well as CSS are the basic programming language needed in building website and application. Well, JavaScript is a programming language that's able to create interface element such as forms a minute. In addition to this, the programming other skill needed to become a front end are the ability to manage frameworks and library. Next, when the front end works, a front end will start doing this work. Then the UI designer has finished the design. If there are not change, the designs that are usually uploaded via sketch will be directly applied by the front end to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Next, part 2. We move to backend developer. Definition of backend is backend web developer, also often called server the side developer, server side, or backend development is everything that refers to the application server part and everything that's communicate between the database and the browse. Next, how the backend work. Uh, he backend developer is in terms of ensuring a website or application can run as itself. Based on the task, a backend must be able to ensure that all systems contained in website or application can run properly. They also have to think about the various risks and can alert at any time. Next, required abilities. Back-end developer must also be an expert in programming language with letter appear on the website or application server. The most widely used by back-end programming language are Ruby, Python, and PHP. Just like the front end, the back end also requires the ability to use framework and library. Usually, components will provide requirement for the abilities to use the Django, G hashtag, Express, and also Go. And next, we do back end work. When do back end work? When do back end work? Yes, like that. Later than this Later, the data that have been moved by the front end will be managed by the back end team. The back end will later determine the various instructions that will be executed by the site or application. They have a heavily possibility because there should not be the select logical error in every intersection they have made. Next, part 3. We move to API. What's the APIs? API stands for Application Programming Intelligence. API itself is an interface that can connect one application with another application. Uh, next API type. Public API. Public API are often referred to as open APIs as the name implies. Public API is a type of API that anyone can use across platform. Apart from that, this type of API is the essence to use. You can simply register or take advantage of its developed in your application. For example, the API for Google Maps and the API for Indonesian COVID data. 2. Preferred API. Preferred API, unlike the public API, the preferred API is a type of API that is not open to public use. Usually, the type of API created to internal purpose in the development of certain application. 3. Partner API. Partner API can be used for public purposes, but only those who already have permission to use them. Is with public APIs, you need to register with an API provider first. Then, use in only in certain apps and per agreement. For example, the Panthers API for compensate API. Compensate API is a API that stores data from various server on hosting in one place. Of course, it is very time saving for users. That because users can get various type on data in just one access. Okay, next, my head is blowing. API architecture. API architecture is a three architecture RPC, SOAP, and REST. You can read in this panel. Okay. Next, how the API works. Application access API. The first part of how an API works is when a user access ability to make an user to explain. We use the Traveloka example, and then you can writing this. Next, API makes requirement to software. Once the application has successful accessed the API address, the request will be forwarded to the airline server. So the API will tell you that Traveloka request flight data for the dates and destination that have been mentioned. Next, server responds to API. When if find data that match to request, the server may contact the API. The data is in the form of information such as seat availability, departure time, and other. Next, API delivering response to application. Next, the API presents information from the server to your application. In the example, Traveloka will get information about the container airlines. You can read. Okay. I think that's enough. Thank you for watching. See you in the next content. Oke, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.